Okay.
Trade.
Brexit.
Brexit, interesting. Right? Because that's a big question, isn't it? Everybody's knocking Brexit, isn't it? Right?
Of course.
I'm not going to get too much into that, but let's just a show of hands. Do we say that, do you think Brexit's a positive thing for the Caribbean or a negative thing for the Positive for the Caribbean?
I think positive.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? A nice show of hands, isn't it? Alright? Isn't it? Alright? Alright, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Alright? But yeah, because obviously it's opening up to the Commonwealth. Alright? But we'll deal with that in another time. I'm just interested to see, and we may touch on it a little bit later. But in terms of trade, how do we really believe we could trade more effectively? Let's start thinking about trade. Has anyone heard of the EPA? European Partnership Agreement? Well, it's been in force in the Caribbean for some time, which allows, particularly the fishing industries. Anyone been back to the Caribbean in the last few years? Yeah. All right, and you're seeing the fishing industries are being depleted, right? The small fishermen are suffering. Part of the reason behind that, because they've opened up the fisheries to the European trawlers, who are now allowed to come in and so forth, and lots of other things. But the thing is, the fishermen, who generally go out on these little, what I call dinghy things, with little Johnson engines, all right, struggle to keep up with trawlers. And of course, they're having to bring in things what we call HACCP regulation, which is hazards analysis, critical control procedures, which is all your quality management, which is the way you pack your ice, you manage your ice and so on. The governments are trying to put these things in place to underpin the fishing industries, but what the governments are saying is, okay, bring all your fish to us, we'll give you a flat rate, and then they sell it on to the same markets anyway. And they're not very good at doing that. So you've got the Japanese, European fishermen coming in, depleting the fishing waters, and putting the fishermen, the small little villages, out of business, and there's no entrepreneurial aspects. Although there are a few nuggets. Anyone know St. Lucia? Yeah. Right, Fish Friday, anyone know Fish Friday? Yeah. Right, and that's how the fishermen survived. What they did, they come to realise that, well, the money's not just in fishing. If we actually start to create and cook some of the fish and sell on some of the surplus fish, and create Fish Friday, and we market to the tourists, we can generate more money. All right, so this is what I call evolution. Yeah, we have a habit, especially Caribbean, where I call it gallery politics. You know, the government is crap. The government is this. Oh God, this, that, that. Well, you sit down and you can hear it every single, and that same gallery politics has kind of gone down through generation after generation. All right, where we feel that we cannot do. Well, I'm here to tell you today you can do and you can trade effectively, because the things are already in place for you to trade effectively. All right? The treaties are already in place for you to trade effectively. You just got to want to know and open up the market to it. Come in. Right? Open up the markets and open up your minds to it. Sorry, go ahead.
Isn't it also important to know where those opportunities are?
Absolutely what I'm talking about. All right? Because these are not things that are widely publicised. All right? Now, we've heard of CARICOM. I was saying to the gentleman earlier, I think it's who's heard of CARICOM?
I had just...
Right, what does CARICOM stand for? Right, it's a bit worrying, isn't it? The Caribbean community, right? Yeah. It's like REU, right? What does it do? Apart from being a lip service, what does it do? Right, well, it's supposed to bring us together collectively. Now, you know, it started out originally as the hub of English-speaking countries in the Caribbean. But yet still, we don't have a hub of CARICOM in the UK. Oh.
Strange.
Worrying, isn't it? All right? And it's underpinned by the Commonwealth Secretary. All right, so I'm here to tell you today there will be a hub for CARICOM in the UK. And that's one of the reasons why we raised the agenda today. Because it's imperative, because they have some beautiful, wonderful agendas. The agricultural side that's going on in the Caribbean now, with self-sufficiency in development of the food and so on, people being able to feed themselves, is coming through CARICOM. All right? You know, the economic agendas are coming through CARICOM. So there are some wonderful agendas, but if we're just going to stand outside, oblivious to looking to see how we can trade more effectively, then we're thinking we're going to see it on the news at 10, or a news night, when there's things like Export Caribbean UK, the CARICOM website, even the Commonwealth website's got it, because Baroness Scotland's been doing quite a bit since she's been in there to make sure she's making people aware. So if we actually look, as they say, seek and you'll find.
Yes.
Yeah? If you've got eyes to see and ears to hear, you'll hear. All right? So this is what we need to be able to do. The information is there, but no one's going to go and stick it in the Sun or the Daily Mirror. Yeah, they're not going to stick it on an advert on the tube. They're not going to do that. Right? So we need to understand that. You know, people say, oh, I want to see more businesses, I want to see more black businesses, I want to see this, I want to see... Look, there's loads of them in Caribbean, there's loads all over the place. You don't have to fight for things like that. You make those things happen.
Yes.
All right? You know, you're wasting all that energy and time. Life is a short thing. There's one guarantee we've got in life, that's death. So if we don't start to think more effectively from here and start to think about how we're going to process and actually realise the information's there. Yeah? So, you know, what I'm saying to you, the opportunity is there, but to trade more effectively, we need to think asymmetrically. Now, another way of looking at it, there's a lot of small businesses in the Caribbean that are doing these trade events. Anyone ever been to a Caribbean trade event? Like Mass or one of those large ones, whatever, especially when you go to Trinidad. My heritage is Trinidad and St. Vincent, and Trinidad's kind of pushing a lot of production and big business at the moment and buying out a lot of the Caribbean and so forth, right? They've become a bit of an oligarch at the moment, but they got their vision, and that came out of Chogham 2009 when they were the head of the Commonwealth, when Patrick Manning was in charge, when the Queen went down there, and there was a big hurrah and whatever, and they kind of repositioned their thinking to become the gateway to South America. So that's where Trinidad is at the moment, but at the same time they're positioning themselves to kind of link the Caribbean. I'm still kind of working out with the game, but they're buying up a lot of the businesses now. Now, what I'm saying to you, how many of those products do you see? I've sat down with senior marketers at Carib Beer Stag. Anyone know Carib Stag? Banks from Guyana. Jamaica's got, well, we know Red Stripe was a bank, but how many years did that take to hit the shelves?
Yes.
All right. So, you know, the point I'm getting is a lot of these companies have spent millions of pounds trying to establish themselves in the UK.
Wow. True.
All right? And they've failed time and time and time again. Because they're unable to trade effectively, because we don't have a hub, a position, something there, an information base that's able for them to come and tap in, to be able to tap into the markets, right? To say, this is how we trade. Does that make sense? All right? And this is where we become ineffective. There's a lot of lip service that goes on. So what I would like to see is that we're able to establish a base. It doesn't have to be a building. It would be great to see that eventually happen. But a base, a think tank, that the entrepreneurs who say the venture capitalists I was telling you earlier, there's a lot of money. I've sat there with so many ventures. What are you guys doing in the UK? We've got loads of money. We want to invest. We want to make more money. We want our money out of America back into the old school. They're very aware of the market. A lot of them are educated here as well. But where would you tap in? If you was a Caribbean entrepreneur now, a millionaire, what would you spend your money on in the UK?
No.
Property.
Property is one thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're looking at. All right, that's a start. But then, who would you come to tap into that property?
Yeah. Who's the turnkey person?
Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
Surely there should be, and I agree with you, that's one more method. Surely there should be some sort of Caribbean property investment hub, an advice tank, that allows those entrepreneurs to come in to get the correct advice. They're able to do that for a return, of course, because nothing's done for free, but then at least that money then goes back into that think tank to establish a better think tank to do other things. Does that make sense? Yeah, and if it could be done, if it's done on a membership or whatever basis it's done on, but at least it's the economic exchange is evolving. The skills exchange is evolving.
Yes.
What's happening is they'll come, but they'll go outside of it.
Yes, you can't do it through the embassies.
Trade embassies, the consulates generally change a lot of their people very regularly. All right, and I'm not here to knock the embassies, but we're going to call them to account in September. So you have a chance to challenge them in September, because we're going to bring out the consulates and we're going to put a few of them on the think tank and on the panel to be up to questions. But you have trade consulates in the UK, but they're very reactive. They're not proactive. Well, our vision is a proactive movement, a proactive system that can work in a way that can feed the information to those who need the information to invest, but at the same time, of course it's business, because business is an exchange process, we're able to benefit from it too here, and vice versa. Those of us that want to go and invest in the Caribbean as well, hey, don't know about you, but I've got a lovely pension plan that's targeted to Tobago and other parts of the Caribbean as well. I'm not blowing my trumpet, but I love it. Because part of my pension plan is going to be involved with the Caribbean. And I know in the winter here, I won't be here. I'm going to be there because I like sun, right? I like the heat. I don't like the cold. I grew up in the cold. I love to roll around in the snow. But I'm too old for it now, all right? And the knees are gone and the back's gone, and I spent a lot of years working out in the cold. So the point I'm getting at is the system is there. When you go there for investment, it exists. We can go there and get the correct investment. We can go there and get the right advice. But on the other side, we don't really have it here. So property being one, that's an excellent choice. What else? Technology, well, we're fighting with technology, but we seem to be tapping into a lot of India at the moment as well. Because of, the Asian community in the Caribbean, and we seem to be setting up these techno parks. But the techno parks, it's like, all right, you're setting them up, but how effective are they? How many jobs are they really creating? Is it stopping the brain drain? And I'm going to come to that, so it kind of leads into that nicely, because those techno parks are technically built to reduce the brain drain. But what they've done is they haven't really reduced the brain drain. The brain drain still exists. All right, so how do we stop the brain drain? So it's just something I looked at in depth, and coming from a sales background, I then thought, well, how can we get graduates, particularly in the Caribbean, into earning similar incomes, or incomes that are good enough for them to sustain. Remember, we're going back and investing and buying up. The old guard are going back, which is inflating the price. The patriots are going and inflating the price of properties. They're creating their own little communities. Yes, there's arguments. Oh, well, they're going to come and rob and all these politics. Loads and loads of politics. Back and at the same time, back and on. Right? But the basis of it, what I'm getting is that when you actually look at what's actually going on, it's confusion. Right? And amongst that confusion, there's a younger generation that's coming up. And within that younger generation, there is not really a foundation being set for them. So they're leaving in their jobs, or seeking to leave in their jobs. So I believe it's our responsibility to ensure that they do not leave, that they're able to create jobs using technology, right, and able to stay where they are, be able to afford and have a family where they are, without having to leave and have a good life. We live in a global economy. Is that a globalization? Yeah. Right. So what was the basis of globalization? Do you remember? Huh? Remember it was all in the 90s, remember it was all coming out with, what was it, Local Agenda 21, all the environment things, and thereafter all these wonderful UN policies and the Jubilee Agreement, and do you remember all these kind of things, right? And then what happened? Do you remember when, what's his name, the guy who's gone the other day, I've got his book, Kwame, not Nkrumah, Kofi Annan.
Kofi Annan, yes.
Right? Yeah, Kofi Annan set up the Millennium Development Goals.
Yeah.
2015, what happened? Alright, do you understand my point? So, is the economy balancing, is it getting any nearer from the Caribbean to where it is in the UK now? Well, it is in a sense, but it's because the UK economy is taking a whack because of Brexit, so that makes those of us who send Western Union know, and that's another thing, remittance services, we'll go into that another time. But it's giving it some leverage. The basis I'm getting at is, if you want to keep the graduates in the Caribbean, they need to be able to earn a decent income.
Yes.
I say it's our responsibility to ensure that they can earn a decent income by investing in the right ways. Now, there's lots of industries that you can do online. Right, did you say you was an accountant earlier or something? Was it an accountant? Right. Accounting. Am I wrong or right? I could be sitting in the Caribbean and be an accountant.
Yes.
Right, because of Sage and all right. So,
set the toilet.
right, well, absolutely. Today, because of technology, right? So, things like that, we could win work for accountants and pay them fairly and still earn a commission off it. Because my background's selling, so you're going to hear a lot about selling. Right? What I focus on at the moment is call centre, right? Telemarketing, right? Recruitment. When I went down, I had a contract with EMAP. I did the Sales Innovation Expo. It's a big expo at Excel some years. I did it for a while. And I got a contract, and it was worth about £5 million. And can we please turn that off?
I'm trying.
Right. And with that contract, I thought, yeah, got it. I'm done, I'm getting there. Right. So I've gone down to Trinidad, chest up, right, I'm going to recruit now, X amount being promised to me, right, get on the grind, let's do it. I've gone into my office, I don't do nothing without going to my UK High Commission. All right, anytime I land, I'm here, like Union Jack. Alright, I've always got my British hat. Yeah, I don't try and be a yardie, because I'm not. Alright, I wear my British hat and that's what I am. Alright, but at the same time it's my heritage, right? So I can trade.
Yeah.
So I've gone into there and I said, right, great. They're like, go and do this. So I start advertising, doing all these wonderful things. And I've got this massive cross-cultural dynamics. Yet still, I've got to put a 200-seater call centre up. And time's running out and more. Not to say I lost so much weight and so much stress, and in the end come back with egg on my face, realising I'm not going to be able to do it. Because there are cross-cultural dynamics. Alright? So what that made me think was, okay, well, then what we need is boots on the ground. So we created a model which is leading into the employment. I'm going to tie these two up because I'm conscious of the time, and if I'm losing it, just let me know, because I get a bit out there sometimes, right? So just forgive me for that. So just put your hand up if I'm losing it, all right? Just forgive me, all right? Yeah, I'm losing it, am I? Yeah,
No, you're
all right.
not.
Hang that man from the lamppost when we go outside, all right? It's all right, I've known him for 40 years. All right, so what I'm saying is, if you think, now you've got the basis, all right, of, have you ever seen call centre, how call centres grow? Telemarketing. It grows like fibre. You can go from 2 to 40 to 100, and down that you can promote so many services, so many different businesses, from advertising to magazines to alcohol to beverages, the whole 9 yards. Right? As well as interconnecting here. But then I thought, well, hold on, let me go into this a bit more. So I went into it a bit more, and I tested it more, and I tested it more. I thought, hold on, we've got something here. What we need is people on the ground who understand the recruitment business. Right? Then we can win the larger contracts here to be able to take to them in the Caribbean. But don't pay them too, Bob, like what they're doing in India and so on. I don't know about you, but when you pick up the phone and it's an Indian call centre, do you feel comfortable?
No.
It's a bit of this is like, what's going on? But when you hear a nice Caribbean accent, how do you feel?
Sweet.
Like you feel like you're in the Caribbean, yes man, and everything. You're very polished, isn't it?
Very polished.
Yeah.
Huh? It's wonderful, isn't it?
Smooth.
Alright, up some Vistaprint. Because they're in Montego Bay now. And I could go on.
Well,
Their customer service, so it doesn't have to be just outbound. And then I thought, I'm going to take it a step further, because I've sat down, so I worked with these graduates, so we love some of that. And I worked out they can earn up to 50, 60 grand a year. Just doing simple stuff in recruitment, because the average recruitment deal is what? £2,000 a head.
okay, right.
Alright, not even talk about temping here. And that's just one industry, but not only now can they recruit, so I thought, well, can we do it Caribbean, but if we can get them doing it in the UK, then we get them doing it in the UK, we're creating jobs for our people here as well, right? So, great. So, we're now looking at the UK market to bring, promote the diversity within the sales market, to be able to say, okay, well, hold on, we're going to create jobs in the UK, train them to the UK standards, and then we're going to flip the script and bring it back into the Caribbean. And off the back of that, you're going to load up services and all sorts of aspects behind it, i.e. one of them being accounting, another one being the customer service aspect behind the property investment.
Yeah.
Because lead generation is what drives business. No customers, no business. Right? So now, when you think about the world, Philippines, South Africa, all these different call centers setting up all over the world's going viral, the world's going technical, it's going all over. What's the back end? The main job that's growing, left, right and centre. It's call centre. Because you need the service end to that, what's going on. Right? That's what you do. You pick up on the phone, because even you go into the social services now, there's a call centre. So from the grassroots as how it gets right up to the peak, if you're doing investment merchant banking, what do they work on? What do the brokers work on? What do they trade on? Ta-da!
Cool. Telephone. On the market.
Alright, so the telephone's working, but hey, like you said, you could be in the toilet. You could work from home. You could, the dynamics. So it just went BOOM! And my whole world just went mad, and it's been like years and years and years of madness. But the synthesis of it is this. You've got the downward, if you think of a Maslow hierarchy, I like to think you flip the script of Maslow. Self-actualization. So you've got these guys down there in the Caribbean, they're chilling out. I know I sat down with some guys, they could tell me every single star. They could tell me, oh, Orion's out there. They're in this conversation, Orion's going on bad tonight, boy. And then Zeus is going on bad. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? I've had too much rum or what? But that's normal to them. Alright? And I went, girl, you grew up like that? Wow. Where was I? You know? Amazing. You know, it's tapping in and it's really understanding that culture and the dynamics of that culture. I thought, we need to bring this and promote this to the world. Alright?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go into another aspect of it as well. So I thought, oh, how are we going to do that? So I thought, outbound telemarketing has got such a bad reputation. Inbound telemarketing, which is the customer service side of it, you'll find there's loads of Indians, Philippines, everywhere. For all the big companies, they're all contracting out, aren't they?
Mm.
Right, to all these different countries of the world. Now, that market's kind of saturated, would you agree? But could you imagine, and I'm only using call centers as an example, the Caribbean as the #1 outbound telemarketing capital of the whole world.
Nice.
Nice.
What would that do for the economy?
Boost.
Hmm?
Massive.
How much business would that bring in? So 14.5 million people locally, plus the diaspora as well. Hmm? Now if you spun that, and off the back of that, you're also educating people within diaspora, which is where you